NYIT is a community service of the New York Institute of Technology.
Covering the news of Nassau and Suffolk County's Long Island News Tonight with Ken Eckhart, Carol Peck, and the award-winning LI News team.
Good evening. I'm Ken Eckhart, and here's what's happening. Long Islanders woke up to a wintry mix this morning that froze on road surfaces, causing numerous accidents and forcing motorists to slow down. Newsday reports Sunrise Highway near Robert Moses Causeway was like a skating rink, resulting in 2 4-car accidents in the area. And while we had a break from the precipitation this afternoon, forecasters say we're not out of the woods yet. According to the National Weather Service, more freezing rain and sleet is expected to begin this evening and continue overnight into late tomorrow morning, when we could have as much as a 1/4 inch accumulation of ice. Commuters are urged to take it slow during the morning rush. It's reported low visibility along with existing snow mounds and icy road conditions could make for dangerous travel. And this resident says he'll have to be prepared.
But I guess I just have to leave a little earlier just to make sure I come here in time, because I don't know when the buses will come, if they'll be delayed or not.
Well, the freezing rain won't just cause problems on the roads. Meteorologists report it's possible storm drains blocked by existing snow could overflow, causing flooding in the area, and the ice could bring down tree limbs and power lines. So the Long Island Power Authority says it has extra crews on standby. The National Weather Service's winter weather advisory continues until 6 p.m. tomorrow. New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo's proposed budget for 2011-2012 would cut state spending by $3.7 billion, saying we must make hard choices to put New York on the road to prosperity. The governor is calling for a $1.5 billion reduction in school aid, as well as cuts to higher education and Medicaid.
This is going to be hard. First of all, change is hard. I love the concept of change. Everybody's in favor of change. You ask people, do we need change? Yes, we need change.
Cuomo's nearly $133 billion budget also calls for laying off nearly 10,000 state employees. New York is facing a huge deficit this year, and the governor says we need to find a permanent solution.
This year, we need to close this year's deficit, the $10 billion deficit, and we need to stop next year's deficit from forming by changing the permanent law. If we have to go through this, and we have to go through this difficult period, let's make sure it's the last time we do it.
Lawmakers have until April 1st to approve a budget. If they miss the deadline, the governor now has the power to impose emergency spending bills. Nassau County officials have filed a lawsuit challenging the legality of a state watchdog's vote to take control of Nassau County's finances. The Nassau County attorney says the suit filed late yesterday questions whether the Nassau Interim Finance Authority was within its power last week when it voted to take control of Nassau County's finances. The authority cited a gap of $176 million in Nassau's $2.6 billion budget for this year, and has given the county until February 15th to revise its numbers. Edwin Mangano, the first-term county executive, insists there is no looming deficit, and he says the actions are politically motivated. Nassau County Police today released the name of a man who was stabbed to death at a Hempstead bar back in December. Officials say 2 people were stabbed at the El Pacifico bar on North Franklin Street on December 23rd. Police say another man taking the 2 victims to the hospital then got into a car accident. A police ambulance took the victims the rest of the way to the hospital, where 23-year-old Futako Galindo of Westbury was pronounced dead. His identity just released today. The other stabbing victim and those injured in the crash were all treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Well, a Long Island man will be going back to prison for his 3rd DWI in 11 months. The Suffolk County District Attorney's Office says a jury deliberated 4 days before convicting 35-year-old Kenneth Bowrosen of Coram on charges including DWI and driving without a license in connection with an arrest in Coram this past July. He faces up to 4 years in prison when he's sentenced. Bowrosen has already served 7 years in prison for a 1999 conviction for vehicular manslaughter and assault, and another year in prison for a 2009 DWI. A Florida man staying in Mastic Beach has been charged with robbing a bank in Shirley. Police say 20-year-old Eric Roderka of Naples, Florida, went into the Chase Bank on William Floyd Parkway a little over a week ago, demanded cash, then fled on foot. Roderka surrendered to police this morning. Well, it was an up day on Wall Street today. The Dow finished the day up 148.25 points, finishing above 12,000. NASDAQ finished up over 51 points, and the S&P finished up almost 21.5 points. NYIT's LI News Tonight continues after this.
See a screening of the film Devil in a Blue Dress at New York Institute of Technology's D. Seversky Center in Old Westbury on Wednesday, February 9th at 5:30 p.m. For more information, call 516-686-7567. Long Beach seniors can learn safe driving tips at the AARP Mature Live Driving Course at Long Beach Public Library on February 9th and 16th at 6 p.m. For more information, call 516-432-7200. The Jerry Tobin Irish Language School is giving free Gaelic classes in Babylon starting Thursday, February 10th at 8 p.m. For more information, call 631-521-1227. Or learn the history of Long Island train stations at Northport Public Library on Thursday, February 10th at 7:30 p.m. For more information, call 631-261-6930. If you have an event you'd like included on the LI News Tonight community calendar, send it to linewstonight at nyit.edu.
Press play to start your future. Learn the industry. Use the technology. Become an expert in television reporting, journalism, radio, digital film, public relations and advertising, television production, digital graphics, a beautiful state-of-the-art campus, a road to the job you've always wanted, in the media capital of the world. Communication Arts at NYIT. When can you start?
Some of the top headlines around the world today. Hundreds of thousands of people gathered today in the heart of Egypt's capital, calling for Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak to leave power. And there are reports Mubarak has said he will not run for re-election. It was reportedly the largest demonstration in the week of protests and included people who overcame a government transportation shutdown and were able to reach Cairo, many from rural areas in the Nile Delta. The crowd sang nationalist songs and chanted for Mubarak to leave. The demonstrators included young people and old, urban, poor, and middle-class professionals. They stood shoulder to shoulder in a demonstration that has remained peaceful. Similar demonstrations were held at least 5 other cities around Egypt. The military promised on state TV last night that it would not fire on the protesters, answering a call for 1 million people to demonstrate. It was a sign that army support for Mubarak may be unraveling. A new report by the U.S. Senate says American government employees may not be safe in Iraq after the U.S. military leaves the country at the end of the year as planned. The report released today by the Senate Foreign Relations Committee concluded that lingering questions about whether some U.S. troops will stay in Iraq after this year have hampered plans for the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. The report says the situation in Iraq is at a critical juncture, pointing to continued violence and concerns about the stability of the newly formed government. And Somali pirates have begun systematically torturing hostages and using them as human shields. The commander of the European Union Naval Force said today that pirates have recently tied hostages upside down and dragged them in the sea, locked them in freezers, beaten them, and sexually abused them. It's reported the pirates are using hijacked vessels as platforms to launch attacks more frequently because they know Western navies will be reluctant to intervene if there are hostages on board. The pirates reportedly also set fire to ships where crews are hiding in a safe room. Well, what does Hollywood have that Nassau County doesn't? Filmmakers were recently invited to tour some Nassau landmarks and locations that the county says would make great backdrops for TV shows and motion pictures. Kyle Raitan reports.
While promoting motion picture industry jobs in Nassau, County Executive Edward Mangano recently hosted a two-day location tour for filmmakers in our area.
Today I'm thrilled that we have many scouts and producers and directors that have an interest in learning more about the great landscape that we have here in Nassau County, but most importantly, the great film studios that we have here now that are appropriate for full-length motion pictures and television shows.
Filmmakers have boarded the bus behind me. They're beginning a two-day tour across Nassau County for potential filming locations. Those sites include the Theodore Roosevelt Executive and Legislative Building in Mineola, the Port Washington Dock, and Eisenhower Park in East Meadow.
So we have just a wonderful inventory of sets, of backdrops, of landscapes and neighborhoods, retail centers, parks, beaches, and again, most proud of the fact that we have industry leaders establishing film studios here in Nassau County.
According to Mangano, past tours have attracted individuals from renowned films like Salt, Sex and the City 2, Julia, and more.
Film industry, quite simply, is a great job creator. It is a wonderful enhancement to our economy. We filmed some great movies here over the last year.
This location manager says he's worked on the television show Law and Order Special Victims Unit and has a particular interest in the Nassau County Correctional Facility.
Just network, socialize, learn more about the locations that are available on Long Island.
In Mineola, Kyle Raitan, LI News Tonight.
Construction is expected to resume next week on Atlantic City's half-finished Revelle Casino. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie says Revelle's owner came up with most of the more than $1 billion needed to complete the project on its own, and New Jersey will contribute $261 million, getting back 20% of the casino's profits through success reimbursement payments. Work began on the Revelle back in 2007, before the national recession hit and credit markets dried up. Revelle ran out of money by January of 2009. An Atlantic City rescue package was signed into law today. The Revelle Casino is expected to open by the summer of next year. Well, we had a wintry mix of snow and freezing rain today. The high was only in the low 30s. Tonight, freezing rain with a low in the upper 20s. Tomorrow, a wintry mix, changing over to rain, a high in the mid 30s. Thursday, mostly cloudy with a high in the upper 20s. Friday, a sunny day with a high around freezing. The outlook for Saturday, a chance of snow with a high in the mid 30s. And that's it for NYIT's LI News Tonight. I'm Ken Eckhart. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.